Guys, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to my patch 2.16 recap and thoughts video. I realize these notes are very, very long, so I'm probably going to be skipping through some of the lesser things. I'm not going to read every single note, and I didn't expect these notes to be that long. I'm going to highlight some of the major things. Some we knew, some we didn't. I'm going to highlight the things I was most impressed by, and I want you to share your thoughts in the comments below. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff here, so let's just blaze on through it. But anyway, so the first thing pretty much that we see is that Chimera and Hydra have been added to the Duty Finder. If you need to unlock them, you need to go to where you originally fought them, and you can unlock them when you get there. They moved around a few fates. They added guild leave things above the wine bottles right here. And one very important feature that I want to mention, and this is going to take up just a couple of minutes, they already confirmed gardening for patch 2.2, but so there's now like little things that can be, that you can start filtering things by for gardening. But more importantly, you can actually set a lot more options in your free company tab. For example, you have focus to say what kind of free company you are, end game, dungeons, whatever. What you're seeking, tanks, healers, DPS, whatever. Active, you can set it to weekends, weekdays, or never active or always active. And then you can even open recruitment and submit applications via the in-game company profile. So if you're somebody who runs a free company and you don't want to make a website and do all that, you now have these very awesome this very simple but awesome way of recruiting people. If people are interested in your free company, you just open it, let them take care of the rest. Go stand in the middle of Revenant's Toll with a giant sign above your head, pretty much. So scrolling down, it's just a bunch of pictures of that. The next most important thing that I think they added is they added market boards and summoning bells to the residential districts. This needed to happen. Residential districts, the houses are there, but where are the people? There really needs to be more activities in the game that make people want to go to these housing areas. And I think this is exactly what it needed. This is just a start. This isn't going to get tons of people clamoring there. Revenant's Toll also got a summoning bell and as well as a little bit of a makeover. So this isn't going to do much, but it's a little quality of life thing that I think should help the life of the residential districts in the future. This is just showing everybody the locations of them. Not that big of a deal. Some more, some prompts and things like that. Company chest changes. Moogle letter box lighting up when you have a message. Summoning bells being added to Revenant's Toll. A few NPCs being moved around. From what I could see, it wasn't anything major. They just took away the gardens in the one area, and as you can see it right here on the screen, really. This is all they did. They just took away the gardens, and now it's brick and whatever. Battle system. Now, they made a few key changes that I'm going to stop and talk about right here. You know, they made it so you can cure people more quickly after they've been revived. And they also fixed Eos and Selene a little bit. Now, Sick and Obey can be done without a target present, which means I need to go change the macros on my Scholar video. And pets will remain in that stance even when resummoned. Only upon logging out will you be forced to redo the commands for your pet, which is good. Because it's really annoying when a pet dies and you resummon them and you're like, okay, I need to remember to set them to obey. And also, you don't need to heal the pet anymore. Eos and Selene will now continue to follow their owners when you switch between them. They weren't doing that before, now they will. Thank goodness. Can get that macro off my bar and just press obey now. So what else we got? We got Summoner and Scholar counting as separate for the limit break. Didn't know that was a problem before, but it isn't anymore, so I guess that's all I can say. Embracing non-party members is good for things like Crystal Tower, or even just out in the open world when you need to save somebody's life, I guess, but just a little bit of quality of life. Players will now be revived automatically after exiting an instance when incapacitated. That's good. They also adjusted respawn rates of the areas where the Beastman tribe quests are going to be taking place in patch 2.2, which is pretty much the Saps of Spawning Grounds and Umgoro Mines. There's other areas a little bit around there that will be affected too by the daily quest, but that's definitely in preparation, probably increasing the respawn rates. Now, this next one confused me. The appearance of enemy action indicators has been changed. It looks like it's a little bit easier for me as somebody who's colorblind to see those. I definitely think they're very much more visible. But other than that, they don't really do much. They have these sort of wavy lines, as you can see, sort of like it's projecting outward in that direction. I guess to be a little bit more clear about what it's actually doing, because it's not like it's acting as a timer or anything. I did test it in the game, as you can see right here. It doesn't do anything special, but it is more visible, and that I do appreciate. Now, they added a bunch of new items too, and all of these can be gotten from achievements that are already in the game pretty much. Achievements like doing all your hunting logs for the master rings, or they're listed below, but we'll just saying you get these all pretty much from achievements, and they're listed also in the patch notes as well. They adjusted quick synthesis so that your stats will actually affect it now, which is definitely a really big thing. And they also added a dye preview menu. Now, someone who's colorblind, I don't dye my gear all too often, but this is good for people who do dye their gear often. So, especially if with the vanity system we get more dyeable gear like we're expecting, this is definitely something that I am looking forward to. Now, also, they did a few little things, like they added a ready check right here. The ready check currently is abusable. If you go into Crystal Tower, you can actually abuse it and just constantly spawn ready checks, like no matter what. They need to do some sort of thing where only party leaders can do it, maybe, or alliance leaders in the case of Crystal Tower. Because otherwise, it seems that people are capable of spamming these ready checks. It feels like they just added it without really putting any restrictions on when you can initiate a ready check. Now, here's just a few changes that have been made to the duty finder. Some things are a little bit more clear, like melee DPS and range DPS and PvP having to be one each. And also, if you don't fulfill the requirements for something in the duty finder, you now get a detail message telling you why, which is good because some people go, what the heck is the problem? Why can't we go in? Now you can find out why right away. The Party Finder feature also got some updates. There's now a refresh button, so you don't need to close it and open it constantly. Thank goodness for that, because I do that all the time. Display periodic recruitment notifications. I'm not exactly sure how that works. I guess, I don't know. I don't know how it works, but if you know how it works, say in the comments below, because I haven't had the time to test it out myself yet. Players can receive periodic notifications of the number of parties recruiting members. Okay. So occasionally it'll tell you this many parties are in the party finder. Pretty much all it'll do. You can toggle it on and off if you don't want that information, or if you do. Completely up to you. You can also cancel invitations you send out to people now by going to your party list and select cancel all party invitations. So if you're waiting 5 minutes for somebody to accept it and they're AFK, you can just cancel it and invite somebody else. There's also a wish list now on the market board. So you can set up to 10 items as the wish list, and if you buy that item often, it's there for you, and you can just click it, see how much it is, and buy it up. That way you can pretty much, it's more like favorite items than it is wish list items you buy most often, but definitely can be used as in the term wish list if you're like, oh man, I really want to buy that when I have the money. And then you can see, okay, it's there, and it's just a button away. Also, here are all the achievements that I just mentioned before. Turquoise Cannon, Iron Leaf, 500 company leaves are for these cannons and stuff. So people who want more housing materials, you got them. There's a few more housing materials now. Take that back. This has nothing to do with cannons and stuff. It's actually just for the bracelets that were listed above. Don't know why I actually knew that. Just psh. Successfully complete 3,000 fates now nets you a Paragon's gown. Don't think you'll be able to convince me to do 3,000 fates anytime soon. I don't already have the achievement. I don't know if I want it. But now what's more interesting is you get a Chocobo suit vanity item if you get your companion to level 10. So even if you don't get the barding because you messed up your points currently, there is still a reason to get to level 10 for this Chocobo suit, but that is a lot of time investment for that Chocobo suit, man. I guess it does make it feel a little bit more like an achievement. Those rewards were kind of crappy, to be honest, and all of these come from doing hunting logs and crafting and gathering stuff as well. So definitely some new items that were added that'll definitely incentivize people. That's even a word. It will give incentive to people who were not doing them before, and it's just a good thing to have, in my opinion. The stats on them are decent, and it's a free item. Can't complain. It's a pool in the back. But anyway, random minion button and a random mount button. You can find those in your general actions. Also, they did a change for colorblind people, so that there are now 2 types of X's in your inventory, basically, with your gear. Select if it's red, it means that the gear's level requirements are not met by any of your classes or job, and blue means that it's just your current class or job. So it'll basically tell you whether or not you can equip it at all. That's basically all that it's going to differentiate between. A little bit clear about those things. Gear set changes saw slight changes. For example, now if your weapon is gone for one of your gear sets and you have another one, it'll just default to that other weapon. So that way you can still switch to your gear set without having to make it all over from scratch again. Chocobo Burnings, they did a few things. They added time-worn maps to the timers section below, which is really, really useful because it was annoying to just have to guess, when did I gather that map yesterday? Oh well. Let's see what else. There are now checkboxes in your journal so that you can toggle your quests that you want to be visible, which is very, very useful. They had that in the beta and they removed it later on and we never knew why. I'm glad they managed to finally bring it back. They added a sent letter history button for your Moogle delivery service. So if you're like, hey, did I send you that item? Yeah, I can check. Okay, I did send you that item. That option is now there. It shows the name of the person, the time, and the item that you sent them, if you sent them an item at all. Now, a few more things they added. Let's see, Autorun feature. They added waymarks. That's another big one. As you can see here in this picture, that's how they work. I also have this little short video of how to activate them, how to get to them, and how to use them. This will help pug raid groups and organized raid groups immensely. It's like, all right, so new strategy. We're going to stand there, there, and there during phases 1, 2, and 3. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I think that was absolutely necessary. I'm very glad that they added it. Now, they changed a few things with ground targeting. They said this is for gamepad users and controllers. It's the only reason I want to stop and talk about it. When ground targeting, your character will now enter a ground targeting mode, which will be indicated on screen. I hope that doesn't mess up the flow of battle, because that's something, as somebody who uses Flaming Arrow very often as my part, that could interrupt my flow of battle. I don't know if it will. I can't say for sure that it will, but we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't. I'll let you guys know about that on my live stream sometime. When using signs and mark players, it'll now say in the chat, thank goodness, because I always get grief by people. It's just like, hey, let's put a sign above his head. Damn it. Now these two things absolutely help me. Another couple things I want to stop and talk about. The clickable target box for characters has been enlarged. Amazing, because as somebody who wants to PvP, that is the one thing stopping me. I love clicking my targets to select them, but it's very, very hard to do so, or it was, now it's not. Also, you can now set it so that you can show highlights. It's actually in your character configuration interface under the target tab. I actually have a short video of me enabling it, pretty much. I'll just put that over it. And it'll show a highlight over the target that you, or its potential target, because you haven't targeted them yet. You have your mouse cursor over them. I think that is a great feature. I really wanted that. Focus bar will remain visible on screen even when indicated target is no longer on screen. That's like when Titan jumps and you have to constantly refocus target him every time he comes down. You won't have to do that anymore. He'll stay on your focus target the entire time. So they did a few other things. Made it so that you can look at the camera with the press of a button. They made it so that your hitboxes are bigger when you're on mounts. They made it so that players that use the zoom, the lock target feature can zoom out farther to get an overhead view. They made it so that if you're enclosed in a small area, they changed the camera positioning for that when players are near walls. I'm curious to see how that works in turn 2 very specifically. Now, it's going on a pretty long video, so let's just run through. There's a new adventure status. Basically, if you're a new player, you can alert people. You have to have under 20 hours of gameplay or under 80 achievement points in order to even use it. They changed a few things with the mouse buttons. Friend notifications are now easier to activate when you get it. It'll take you right to the confirmation window. They added a hotbar macro icon. So if something's a macro on your hotbar, it'll now indicate it with a little circle, as you can see right there. Font size settings will now be adjusted. They added a few macro icons for things like gear sets, mounts, minions, emotes, signs, and general actions as well, which is good. Now they changed this. This confuses me. Players can now use syntax in place of the wait command. Number can be a digit anywhere between 1 and 60. Now, the example they give says action swiftcast and action raise. There's no 1, 2, 3. There's no syntax involved here. For those of you who don't understand what syntax is basically everything that comes after the command part of a macro. Just for the sake of the game, I know syntax is, real life thing, but in the case of this, just what syntax is talking about. Basically, you have slash action swiftcast, and then you have this, the syntax will tell you what any sort of conditions, basically, that that the action needs to, or that the command needs to have taken place. So they say that with this macro right here, if you use the action swiftcast and then wait, it'll automatically wait a second, do action raise. I hope that doesn't affect my bard macros. If it does, I will be sure to let you guys know in a video, because that could be very big. I may have to drastically change the way I play my bard. I may have to stop telling people to use that macro. Of course, I tell people it's better not to use the macro anyway, but it's fun to use when you're just doing stuff and you don't want to have to think too much, Other than that, there's not really too much. A lot of control stuff that I can go over on my live stream. Things that people are going to have to basically decide if they even care about it. There's a lot of quality of life changes in terms of what is possible to do with system configurations and character configurations. The highlight potential targets and the minion roulette, waymarks, the face camera tab, cycle through HUD components, notifications of when a GM is mad at you or a support is replying to you now shows, which is definitely good. Also, player models will now appear wet when in inclement weather, when immersed in water, or when struck by water-based attacks. That almost feels like a change that's specifically to make Leviathan feel a lot more epic, because you're definitely going to be getting wet in that fight. Players can now see their breath in cold areas. That's cool. An explanation of camera controls has been added to the character creation screen. That's good. Players can now load character appearance data created for the beta test and benchmark. That's good. Something that's way overdue, unless that's just for the PlayStation 4 beta. And then they resolved a bunch of issues, which nothing really too significant here from what I can tell. An issue when enemies did not receive the reduced HP effect when spawned during certain Grand Company leaves. An issue wherein the skills Asuna and Leeches did not remove the effects of Wind Bite or Phantom Dart. Those will come in handy in certain situations. An issue wherein the stats displayed in the pet action help were affected by player parameters. parameters. That's interesting. An issue wherein the recast time for additional skills would reset when changing classes in town. Basically, just a bunch of little fixes, a little resolved issues, hot fixes almost. And then they have confirmed there are a few bugs still that they are working on. But anyway, guys, what did you think of patch 2.16? It was a lot of quality of life stuff, not content. Obviously, patch 2.2 is going to be here within the next 3 or 4 weeks. So just a few little quality of life changes. What do you guys think? Do you guys think they should keep doing these big quality of life updates with these sort of sub-names? Do you think they should push these things out as smaller patches? And overall, what did you think about patch 2.16? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, favorite, subscribe, and share for more Final Fantasy XIV information. Be sure to check out the rest of my channel if you're a Final Fantasy junkie, because I do have a bunch of other videos on my channel. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter for regular updates. You can also ask me questions about my thoughts on things like this. You can get the scoop about when I'm posting videos like this, and generally, you can just get updates about what I'm doing. Also, follow me on Twitch, where I do stream Final Fantasy XIV. I stream it a few times a week, always on Mondays when it's raid time. Probably be a little bit different when 2.2 comes out, but we'll see. Gonna give you guys an update about that sometime. And of course, you can get updates about that on Twitter and Facebook when I'm going live. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.